Hello, everyone. I'm Ann Huang, Executive Director of World Arts West. I want to welcome you to the Season 2 premiere of Living Traditions. If you like what you see tonight, please consider making a donation to World Arts West. Please enjoy the program. Here's the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival Co-Artistic Director, Latanya Tigner.
Thank you, Ann, and greetings, everyone. We'd like to begin tonight by recognizing the Bay Area is contemporarily known as Ohlone territory. There are 8 language dialects and many active tribal groups. We acknowledge San Francisco Bay as the territory of the Yamalu Ramatush Ohlone. It is my honor to welcome into the space Māhealani Uchiyama, co-artistic director of the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival and co-host for Season 2 of Living Traditions.
Thank you, Latanya. Welcome to our first episode of the second season of Living Traditions, exploring dance beyond the performance. With this program, World Arts West aspires to lead our audience on a journey that explores various dance disciplines through a series of online interviews. Our conversations with artists will focus on their art form, its history, and what makes it unique. Each episode will focus on one company practicing a specific tradition. We will discuss how they find a balance between holding tradition and embracing innovation. Additionally, we want to give you the opportunity to ask questions of the artists, as well as a chance to enjoy a short demonstration from the tradition that they practice. Today, we will be interviewing the co-directors of Parangal Dance Company, the San Francisco Bay Area's premier Filipino folk dance company. They are known for their commitment to honor Philippine heritage through their commitment to rigorous research, community workshops, and authentic cultural performances. This is achieved by their practice of cultural immersion and research with various indigenous communities in the Philippines. I am delighted today to welcome Director Eric Solano.
Good evening, everyone, and magandang umaga sa Pilipinas. Thank you so much for having us today.
It's great to have you. We'd also like to welcome Musical Director Major Julian. It's great to have you. We welcome also lead dancer Jonathan Mercado.
Hello.
Hey. Wonderful. And last but definitely not least, joining us from the Philippines, renowned Maguindanaoan cultural bearer, Faisal Monal.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Before we enter our conversation, we'd like to encourage our audience to consider a donation to World Arts West. There is a link there at the bottom of your screen. So I'm curious.
Sorry about that.
I'd like to find out, Eric, if I may. Um, I just want to mention that it's been our honor as a festival to watch you and your company essentially take root, build your foundation, and flourish into this absolutely amazing and wonderful presence in the Bay Area. You came into the festival and it just seemed like you came in so strong and beautiful, and we could not forget you. And every time you came back, it became even more grounded and more stunning. And it's been just an honor and a pleasure to watch this process take place. Can you give us a little insight of the kind of collaborations that Parangal has participated in, and how did those collaborations come about, and what was expected? What do you feel you accomplished with each of them?
Sure. We've been on dance company since 2011 is when we have started to present work that is based on research. Our topmost collaboration that we have been doing, living and breathing through our pillars, is working with the indigenous culture bearers in the Philippines and also here in the Bay Area, like Jenny Bauer Young. So with this collaboration with the indigenous communities, especially with the cultural elders or culture bearers, when we go to Philippines is our step one of the collaboration with the elders. Is basically being there, immersing with the elders, understanding who they are, what their traditions are, and also things that they need, in their community. When we come back here in the San Francisco Bay Area, we relay that information to Parangal Dance Company artists who makes this work that we have been doing possible. So when we create the work, that's when actually the dialogue begins. That's when the actual work really takes place. When we create the pieces, the dance segments, and then sending the information over via Facebook, the videos of the work that we are about to present at the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival, which we always try that any new work, as far as we can do it, is to present at the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival first. So when we get a feedback from our culture bearers that, okay, we get a green light or a thumbs up, then that's when we will present the work at Ethnic Dance Festival. So before we hit the stage at the audition every year that EDF has, we've already gone through that process with our culture bearers and also make any changes, including with Faisal. We have thousands of messages in Facebook since we have known each other since for 15 years now. So before we present that work at EDF and then share it with the world or here in the Bay Area, that's the important collaboration that we need to have as a promise and respect, and also as a cultural responsibility to the indigenous communities that we're presenting on stage. Not represent, but an inspiration of their culture and living traditions.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much. I have a question for you and Major, and that is, as um, Filipino living in the diaspora, how is that for you to do those traditions, learn those things, and bring them out into the diaspora, but really holding true to traditions here in the States, and as you travel and tour and take that work out into the world?
you want me to go first, Eric?
Sure.
So as I think the difference between my experience and Eric's experience is that um, I come from I was born here in the United States, and so I'm more acclimated to the American culture, right? So I don't speak Tagalog fluently. I can put like some sentences together. I know when I'm in trouble. Um, but when it comes to going out and learning the music and the culture and dances, and then putting that on stage. Um, Given that the communication is different for me, so what I brought to the table when and it's all about a learning process. So back in 2011, just like Eric said, we're gonna take the company in a different direction, and we're gonna work with indigenous tribes. So for me, I said, well, one thing was to stop casting me in dances, and so that I can focus on music. So that's where that what I can bring to the table. So I always told Eric, if you cut me, I bleed music, music first, and then blood second. So then, so and I've told the long story about the difference between just like how Eric caught himself at the end and said, we represent an inspiration of what. The indigenous people taught us, right? It's that age-long question of what is contemporary and what is traditional. So, in a sense, where I've taken this from the late great master Danawan Kalanduyan. He said, this is usually practiced like in the living room, in my quarters, or in my right within my community. And as soon as you take it out of that and put it on stage, it's no longer tradition. So we started using inspire instead. But the difference between an artist and a craftsman, where a craftsman can replicate things and be meticulous and taking what they have and putting it on stage, an artist creates, right? They create things from scratch. So there is a fine line and gray areas between the two, but I think one of the corrections that we do say is no, we no longer like use tradition in terms of like what we represent. Um, but sorry, to answer your question, as a Filipino in the diaspora, um, uh, as a Filipino diaspora, oh my God, I'm like forgetting what my train of thought here. Uh,
You're
I'm so
good. You're good.
sorry. Yeah, I got on my high horse and then I fell off. So yeah,
No,
just
but
using, sorry, it was using music to tie in the culture. That's what I was trying to get
mhm.
at.
No,
Sorry.
I appreciate the talking about tradition, and like we're taking it out of that context. Like
Yeah,
it's no longer that's very important, and
yeah.
that conversation has been going on for a while. In the African dance community. So there's language
Oh
like
yeah.
neo-traditional.
Oh yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So and understanding, and like we talked the other day, like tradition, first of all, is not static. So
Yeah.
um
Exactly.
so no, you're good. You're good. You're good.
All right.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, Jonathan is part of our artistic team, and I've asked him to speak on his experience because he's
Okay.
the 18 to dance lead. He has done research, has gone back to Faisal and Cotabato, and has learned the IPA ritual as well and experienced that. So, Jonathan, you do me the honor.
Oh, thank you for passing that off to me. Um, Man, I'm pretty much in the same boat as Major, where I grew up here. I was born and raised in California, and pretty much like my understanding of anything Filipino was like that's probably it. Barely even language and anything like that. But there was always this like, okay, I'm Filipino. What is Filipino? What is that? How do I connect to that? How do I connect to my community here in the Philippines? I mean, in California. How do I connect to it within the Bay Area? Who's out there? What do we have to learn? It started like really building up a lot of those questions, and it was pretty much like my experience within Parangal that it became like they became the bridge for me from diaspora to being in California to learning more about what's going on in the Philippines. So it's more so that I feel like I've definitely been opened up more. It was like I just barely dipped my feet into the pool, and then once I became part of Parangal, I like dove right in, and then it was just like this amazing world that I've never witnessed before, and I would probably never ever be able to see if I didn't try. Right, so being it's definitely become like a huge blessing to come essentially from knowing only food stuff to and being so much of a mover myself. I was doing like hip hop or contemporary dance movement stuff like that, and it's like, okay, what's Filipino dance like? What does that look like? What does that look like traditionally? What does that look like contemporary? And then Sagayan, the dance that we're going to be exploring today, has essentially kind of become my point of reference of like how much it's evolved from its pre-colonial roots to its modern representation now. So it's been awesome, and thank you to Eric and to Major for always being mentors to me here in the diaspora, and then also to Faisal for being a mentor to me consistently throughout the past few years, learning more and more about not only this dance but this sense of culture.
I wonder if we could ask a question of Faisal. If you would be kind enough to share the meanings of the different types of fabrics that are used in the regalia that you wear.
Um, well, the one that I'm now is the Sagayan regalia, or this is the costume of a Sagayan dancer. So I have here, and I have a headgear, and we call this kapasiti, and this is traditional headgear of a Sagayan dancer. So I have also here a this is lembong. We call this lembong, and also traditional costume for a Sagayan dancer. Then dancing Sagayan is accompanied by this one, the shield or the plume, and kampilan. So uh, it seems like when you are dancing a Sagayan, so you as you are warrior, because the Sagayan dance is a dance that we imitate the movement of the Sagayan. It's a character from a legend of Darangan, or we call it Darangan. So this is also um, the ngala, panggalan ng tama, when in all fabric is attached in the costume. So this is the headgear and the lembong, the kampilan, and the shield.
Thank you. I would also like to ask of Faisal, as a cultural bearer, um, we talked earlier about like tradition not being static. Um, I was just wondering, and we talked a little bit about this during our tech rehearsals, like what shifts have you witnessed um, culturally in the dance, music, and song? And Major touched on that. Not Major, I'm sorry. Jonathan touched on that a little bit. But what have you seen in your time as a cultural bearer, like shift in the dance and the music of your people?
Well, actually, this dance or this Sagayan is a practice of our ancestor. Uh, Long before, we used to dance this one during a ritual. So Before, it's a ritual dance for bountiful harvest. Sometimes it's a ritual dance for appeasing the spirits, to heal a sick person. So until what happened, it like, uh,
Oh no.
We have a little bit of Eric. Can you do you mind picking up uh, where Faisal left off?
Sure. So for the Sagayan, especially about the ones that so for myself,
Okay.
uh,
There you go.
something something with the connection with the internet, you know. When it becomes a dance of the people in our place, and it related to the everyday life of the people, like the dance was used in the weddings and then for entertainment, and it becomes a also an entertainment for enthronement, or when there's a visitor that coming in our place, and it becomes an entertainment. So it becomes, that's the shift of the dance as I witness. And then at such time, um, when I go to school, and there is a dance troupe in the school, and one of the mandate of the Commission on the Higher Education in the Philippines is to preserve culture. And then in the Philippines, if you notice, or if you observe, that every college in the school has a dance troupe, college run dance troupe, and that way. I remember that when I was in the school, I joined the dance troupe. For example, the dance troupe that we have here in Cotabato City, and we dance this for the entertainment. And then one time, I dreamed that the spirit is teaching me to dance. Like, I don't know what's the meaning, but there was a time I dreamed that a spirit is teaching me to dance a good langka or a good steps. Then at the time, when I was in my freshman in college, uh, I have an idea that when I dream that the spirit is teaching me to dance, this is a premonition that the dance will go abroad. Because in 2005, when the first time I was invited to one of the group in the United States, and I saw the director of the Parangal Dance Company, and I'm referring to Eric, and I do workshop, and then I saw him, like he said he's a good dancer, and during the tribal tour, I also see people coming in our place to witness our ritual, or the healing ritual dance of the Sagayan, and I appreciated them because uh, they want our culture. So that is why I said when I feel the same with them, because they appreciated our culture, and I also appreciated them. So that is why when I meet all these people, first I meet Eric in 2005 in San Francisco, and then Jonathan, I met him during the tribal tour in the Philippines, and they witnessed the ipat. And then si Major, I meet him in San Francisco also, when I was invited in San Francisco recently, and they were very interested in the music and the dance, particularly of the Maguindanons. So that's why I see the evolution of the dance that it started with the practice of our ancestors and through entertainment to the community, and then until it reached the school because we wanted to preserve it. And then here comes when I meet people in the United States, particularly San Francisco and the Bay Area, that they were very interested in the culture. So until such time that I'm very happy that I see people appreciating our culture and they dance like us. And the only thing is I'm always reminding them that whatever modification or whatever enhancement that you're going to do, as long as you treat the respect of tradition, and I believe that this dance will prosper like its glorious time during the ancient period.
Great. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. That's a great segue into our dance demonstration. So, if Eric, if you don't mind, kind of just sharing what we will view at this time. Also, audience members out there, please remember if you're interested in posing a question, please put it in the chat. And also, if you like what you see this evening, please do donate to World Arts West so that we can keep this programming going, and also to support when we're able to get back into the theater space. So, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks so much, Latanya. So today, Sir Faisal will do the pre-Islamic version of Sagayan, which he has described as being done in the Ibat ritual. And in this, you will see uh, the skill sets that a Sagayan dancer would have, which is his footwork, the langka, the knee spins, and then the use of the klung and the kampilan. These are the three things that a Sagayan dancer um, wishes to learn or practice it needs to possess in terms of the knowledge and the skill sets. And so again, then going into Jonathan's Sagayan, which is now part more of the modern celebrations in terms of the wedding, enrollment, and other festivities in the Batong and Maguindanaoan area. So let's see, Sir Faisal. We haven't seen him dance in a while, so this is a great opportunity for the world to see. Sir, or Sagaya.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan. Wow, thank you, Faisal. That is beautiful. Thank you, thank you. Wow.
That was good.
I was like, you better work that space.
Right? Oh my God, that was amazing. Both of you. Wow.
Wow, that was awesome, awesome.
Woo! They followed.
We yeah, that was great. That was great. And we have a question from Jamul. I hope I'm saying that right. Junior Barrera. This is for Parangal. How do you envision working with the various communities of the Philippines in the middle of the pandemic?
Well, I mean, this has been a very difficult time, and we're getting through the COVID situation through dance. Still meeting every Friday, but what we have actually realized is we have actually used this time to connect with many culture bearers through the virtual Fridays that we have. So even though their traditional work in weaving and performances, right now it's Indigenous Peoples Month. There's no event.
Yeah.
All the groups gather. National Commission of Culture and the Arts have all the IPs gather and have them celebrate and share each other's piece. But for now, during the COVID, a lot of our indigenous communities that we work with have turned their weaving of their work still by making sure that they keep safe and we keep safe, and we're able to share that by still making the face mask. So we're getting through that collaboration through the virtual dialogue that we have on Fridays. And if our culture bearers are selling, for example, like Manang Jenny here, right, and our Yaqui culture bearer in Zamboanga, and Ate Margaret in Mountain Province. So we just have them send us the pictures of what they're selling, and we have them sell through here online, and that's how we're collaborating right now to make sure that we keep doing what we love to do and to share.
Great. I have a question for Major.
Sure.
And that is how closely is the music tied to language, the verbal language?
Oh.
And can you describe the musician-dancer relationship and what is that conversation?
Oh man, wow, Latanya. Oh, that's a loaded question. So, do we have time? How are we on time?
We have time. No, we have time.
Yeah. So, so the and see, and it's I love how the people that are joining now. So I always tell Jonathan, Jonathan, not to, I don't know how you'll take this, but playing music for Jonathan is really easy for me, right? Because when Eric is teaching, or like when we're going through rehearsals, and Eric's like would yell at everyone and say like, listen to the music, blah blah blah. But it's not that the dancers are listening to the music, right? The musicians, we're looking at the dancers. And so for dancers like Jonathan, and I've told you this like in private, so I guess it's not so private
Or
anymore.
not private anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I always say, it's really it playing music for you is really easy because you inspire the musicians to get into the groove. And I didn't realize, like, I didn't go to the tribal tour and I don't know if I could talk about this, but I didn't do the EPOT with Faisal. But when we were running rehearsals for Padayan in 2018, we got into the groove. It was the Magindanaoan set, and we got into this groove, and I was like, oh, and I felt like the whole cast was this well-oiled machine, and it was running by itself, and we were this runaway train, and nothing can stop us. And so, I mean, that's for the lack of a better, right? I don't know how. I didn't do the EPOD, so I can only imagine. This is must have what it felt like. It felt right. It felt like we were one, right?
Mm.
In a deeper sense, it felt like we were one with the universe. Right? So, music, the relationship between music and dance is very fluid, in my opinion, where we're not controlling them. Sometimes they're controlling us. And I always say,
Mm.
well, okay, I may have a bias. I do have a bias because sometimes, sometimes Eric will say, we all have that. Moment where you guys are blocking, and you say, "Hey, fill up the stage, fill up the stage." So my saying is, dancers will fill the stage, but music will fill the auditorium, right? So like we have this bigger a responsibility as musicians. So, but we love you. Musicians love dancers. We always do. So, yeah, and I just want to say, and I don't know how much time we have left, but then I just want to say, I love, I love and respect the three men that you've, well, four including myself, but so the three men that you've invited, and having this three-prong approach in terms of Jonathan learning the dance, myself learning the music, and Eric tackling the culture with Faisal. And so just I appreciate and love this relationship and the synergy that we have like going on. And so to many more, well, as soon as we get back into the studio, so to many more. Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. We have another audience question from, and again, I hope that I don't mispronounce your name, Farid Ginola, for Jonathan Mercado.
Yeah.
Sorry.
As someone who dances well, what do you think makes the Sagayan stand out among other dances?
Oh man,
Good
hi,
one.
Farid. A lot of things. One of I think first and foremost was always the dynamics of the movement. As you could tell, with it's a lot of level changes, moving, understanding of on your right hand you're playing the klung, your left hand you're moving your kumpilan, on your head you're moving your kapasiti, and then all the same while you're moving your legs, and then you're shaking the skirt around and making that look kind of effortless, right? So that was definitely one of the things at first in visual, learning about Sagayan and dancing it for the first time was just the balance of all of that within your own body and movement. And then the other aspect of it is just its lineage, its history, its culture, its relevance, how much it's like with what Faisal demonstrated earlier and has mentioned, and we've all mentioned before about Ipa and its roots within that and within ritual, within pre-Islamic traditions that is full on Maguindanaoan, you know, and that is their dance, that is their culture, that is their this Sagayan is like such an embodiment of spirit and warrior spirit of such bravery and such epic and story that the movement hopefully can also embody that that behind it, all of that behind it. So it's always, and each time is always going to be like always a learning lesson. Like when I went to Maguindanao last year, I came back luckily right before the pandemic hit, and that's what I saw. I was like, it was such a humbling experience because as much as I think I dance, I'll dance like pretty well in terms of doing Sagayan. I'm like, there's people that are far beyond and amazing dancers in Maguindanao, you know? Yeah. And granted, I'm lucky to be able to share the stage with a lot of people and with the folks over with Faisal, for him also being able to teach me. But there are a lot of folks within Maguindanao that have so much style, so much bravado, so much energy, so much rooted groundedness in their culture and understanding of identity, and it's out of this world amazing. And I'm always consistently inspired by what's happening here in the diaspora, but what has been happening already in Maguindanao. So yeah, so definitely always a blessing to be able to dance it. And thank you, Kuya Furi, for telling me that I dance pretty well for it.
Cool. Thank you so much for that. Eric, one last question. Okay, so just in my limited observation, like regionally, there are similarities in movement styles in areas or cultures close to the Philippines, in terms of like the use of the articulation of the hand, gesture, the use of fan, other like stylized walks and things like that, especially like the stylized walks that the women do. Has Parangal done collaborations with other cultures in looking at some of those similarities and origin of like the use of those
Yes, we in Mindanao alone, we work with, I would probably say, the most culture bearers, which is and the ones that we have presented last in San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival is the Yakan of Basilan, and we're thankful for the Ahadas family for sharing that tradition with us. And the other shared heritage also there is the Tausug, or the people of the, and the Sama, all from the Sulu archipelago. So they're one of the groups that has a shared heritage in terms of the one with the hands, but maybe some will differ based on who we're learning from. So we collaborate with them more at a indigenous group level, like what we do in South, but not yet as a not as together, right? With groups. So, but hopefully soon, if we're able to bring more culture bears here in San Francisco, so that way we can actually collaborate and perform and share the stage. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that. But right now, the main collaboration with the other indigenous groups, including the Lumad ones, and also the Pugariera group like Kalinga and Gadang and Ifugao, right now it's more based on specific indigenous groups.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, Seems like it just went like that, but we are at the end of our show for this week. I really want to deeply thank you all. Thank you so much, Eric Solano.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
And also thank you to Major Julian.
I had a blast. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you, Jonathan Mercado.
Of course, thanks so much for having us and for spending your time and energy with us.
Of course. And thank you very, very much to Faisal Monal.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you.
Let's not
Thank you po.
Thank you all for participating in Living Traditions and sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. We also want to thank you, the viewer, for joining us today, and to those of you who submitted questions. We'll be back next week, Saturday, October the 10th at 6 p.m. with Viver Brazil, a company which honors Brazil's African legacy through bold contemporary dance inspired by timely stories of mystical orisha, joy, and social justice.
Thank you so much, Mahia. Thank you so much, Latanya. Thank you so much, Parangal. Wow, what a wonderful program. If you enjoyed the program today, please consider making a donation to World Arts West. And we hope to see you next week. Until then, stay safe, wear a mask, and dance your troubles away. Bye bye.
We are Parangal. Parangal means tribute. We aspire to inspire by giving tribute to the Philippines, by creating awareness on indigenous people's traditions and culture through their stories, attire, music, and inspired dances through our performances. We also work to bridge the country's people, Filipinos in the diaspora, and the world to the cultural bearers and their communities so that we can all know that they are still there. Our values are discover, to know our roots, preserve and educate, to share and put into practice what we know, inspire through performances, and last, advocate, to stand on the side of justice by uplifting the voices of the marginalized with the intention of raising awareness, promoting consciousness, and creating social change.